When I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars, which thou hast ordained, what is man, that thou art mindful of him, and the Son of Man, that thou visitest him? Welcome to another thought from the Psalms. The logistics here are a little bit challenging. I don't have the lighting I want. There's a lot of wind, so I've come into the woods. I'm by a creek. And so my paper is blowing around with my notes on it, and but anyway, it is what it is. The verse is fantastic. Well, the verses, Psalm 8, 3, and 4. Okay, so the fingers of God. The psalmist says, when I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers. Now, first of all, that first phrase is very significant. When I consider. I was talking today with a friend and commenting how few people, it seems, think about what it says here, the heavens, the stars, celestial bodies. He said, when I consider thy heavens, when I think about what's up there, then he says, the work of thy fingers. First of all, that thinking, to stop and think about the size, the incredible paths of the planets and the galaxies and the stars. Yes, their size, but their beauty and everything that comes with it that we are barely finding out today in the modern world with the technology that we have. But he says, I consider when I consider thy heavens. It's when, it's not if. It's when. He did. And then he realized that they were the work of God's fingers. What a beautiful literary way to talk to us about the greatness, the majesty of God. Talking about his fingers. What we would use for delicate, smaller jobs, he's made the planets with them and the galaxies. What a beautiful way to make us think about the greatness of God. When I consider thy heavens, there's so much here, so much here. Whose are the heavens? They're not ours. They're not, in a sense, ours to discover and exploit like people think today. They are God's. Now we might do some discovering and some traveling and whatnot, but they're not ours to begin with. They're God's. When I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, they are God's. And he did them, he made them with his fingers. Now, how are God's fingers? Are they like ours? I would say we need to use the metaphor the other way around. He has given us fingers as a very limited and material example of his fingers. the divine fingers. Which is, we could do a lot of speculation about that. But anyway, we don't have time for that now. But he says, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars, which thou hast ordained. He put them there. He gave them their purpose, their beauty. Apparently they sing to his glory in some way. Maybe something we have yet to learn. And then he says, what is man that thou art mindful of him? So when he considers the heavens, when he considers that they are made with the fingers of God, the application is, or one of the applications is, what in the world am I? Why am I so privileged to know the God of the universe? We can walk and talk and fellowship with the God of heaven. He's considering the heavens and the work of God's fingers, but it brings him to think about himself and to realize, you know what? I am really, really small. There's a beautiful phrase that J.I. Packer writes in his book, Knowing God. He says this, The most universally awesome experience that mankind knows is to stand alone on a clear night and look at the stars. Nothing gives a greater sense of remoteness and distance. Nothing makes one feel more strongly one's own littleness and insignificance. Just a little eloquent couple of sentences from That's a Wonderful Book, Knowing God. I've read it for over 30 years, every year. I highly recommend it. But anyway, that's just a little snippet of what he says about the heavens and the work of God's fingers. So, what is man? What are we to do when we consider the heavens? Well, one thing is to humble ourselves and to realize we're not as big a stuff as we think. Modern man has a hard time thinking small about himself. And then secondly, it's a call to worship the great, glorious, and majestic God who made the heavens with his fingers. God bless you. Goodbye.